Greetings from London. This is Mariam Sharif, and you are listening and hopefully watching us on YouTube. So I wanted to invite a young Pakistani female designer that I recently saw on Instagram, and her designs are very unique. And firstly, when I looked at them, I thought, entanglement. She's definitely making big waves in the fashion industry. Working with celebrities, contributing towards kind of fashion shows and photo shoots. Uh, I love her designs. They're unique and they're bold and the statement jewelry, which I love. So I'd love to introduce you to my next guest, which is Haya Latfullah. She's a young Pakistani designer with her own business. Welcome and assalamu alaikum. Okay, we have to tell everybody that we had a bit of a technical hitch. So we are re-recording the first part of the interview that wasn't recorded. So,
Thanks for having me, Mariam.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I fell in love with your designs. I know that you've designed for like fashion shows and the film industry. You're really making waves. And, recently, Haya, you know what? I was watching Chirelles on the weekend. I think probably I'm the last person to watch it. And I've got all of my friends hooked on it. And it was amazing. And I think it was the second episode or something. Because when I saw the designs on Instagram, I really liked like this whole entanglement jewelry, and I was like, reminded me of Jada, right? And I was like, I looked at the film and I was like, this is Haya's piece. Like I thought, I'm sure, and I was like, I'm gonna ask her. So did you contribute to your jewelry to the film?
Yep, you are right. I'm glad you could.
How distinguished your designs are.
Well, I'm really happy to hear you recognized it.
Yeah, no, actually, I took a couple of pictures and I was like, I'm gonna send this to her and say like, okay, is this your design? You know what I mean? I was like, that is definitely her. It's very, it's unique and it's distinctive. And when you have a signature and it's done, it was really, really lovely. So, so welcome. So I know that you've studied here in England. So tell us, you studied at St.Martins. So tell us about your experience.
Well, yeah, I did my bachelor's from St.Martins in jewelry design. And before that, I did my foundation from CCW, so the progression course at UAL. And my time there was the best time ever.
Is jewelry something that you always wanted to do, or because it's not I don't know if it's still a taboo, because usually the traditional subjects to learn or to study, and every parent's aspiration is that their child should be a doctor or go into medicine. And so was there any restrictions from your family? Is this something that you always wanted to do?
So, no, thankfully, I've been very lucky. I've lucked out with family and a support system that's always been encouraging of my creative side. And I think since a very, very, very young age, I knew that I wanted to be an artist. So if anybody was to ever ask me, I would always say artist. In fact, my dad still jokes about it, that when you were a little kid, I would be like, what would you want to grow up? And I would say an artist. So I actually went to St. Martin's, like I wanted to study fine arts. So I wanted to be a painter and a sculptor. But while I was on the foundation course, I realized that I actually fine arts was not my strength, and my strength was more making and working with material and things, because like I like to say, I think through my hands. So I realized that design is the pathway that was more suited to my abilities than fine arts. So I changed while I was on the foundation course. However, I would like to add that when I look back, I sort of already, I think I sort of did somewhere have an idea that I was going to do jewelry, because I sold jewelry when I was in grade 3, in year 3 at a school fair. And my A-level portfolio was on jewelry, and I've always been obsessed with jewelry, and I would always make crafts like accessories. So I guess it was always there, but I never knew until I actually started studying that, oh, actually, this is what I would probably want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. How did you know that you didn't want to do like art? Like, because creativity is, in any creative industry is quite broad. So in narrowing down what you want, what is it that you liked about jewelry design better than art?
I loved having control over my creativity, in the sense that, so I actually was, even when I thought that, okay, fine arts is not for me, and I went to the design pathway, I was choosing between interior and jewelry. But the thing that really made me tick was that for jewelry, I could think of something and I could create it myself. Like I did not need another person for it.
Right.
So I love that command over my own creativity and my own sense of like style or aesthetic or design. So I don't have to go through another person to exactly translate what's in my mind and to have it in the real world.
Yeah.
So I love that control over just my own thoughts and ideas.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really big factor. Other than the fact that I'm obsessed with jewelry. I love it because I think it's an expression of yourself, which
Yeah.
manifests in like pieces. So yeah, I think that was pretty much the main reason
I
amongst
always
other
think
reasons.
accessories are like the icing on the cake. Like
Yeah,
you can be styled, but until you put the accessories on, I feel like it's like icing. You don't become delicious
yeah,
until you have icing
yeah.
on there.
Exactly, exactly.
But your designs are very bold. You know what? I love them because they're so bold and statement. And I love statement jewelry, something unique. And when you look at it, and I went through your page, your designs are really they're gold, just big statement jewelry. How did you come up with your design?
Well, my design process, it's a bit like, so how it works for me is that my all my collections are like personal anecdotes. So if I was to look back at my collections, which I have six collections overall
Right.
up to till
Mashallah.
date, and when I look back, every collection is actually a snapshot of a time in my life.
Hmm.
So it's actually the product of whatever emotion or whatever it is that is happening in my life at that time. So my
Right.
process is very based on intuition and it's very organic with how I'm feeling. So I usually start with an emotion I'm feeling and then I work my way through it in order to also like deal with that particular emotion, because
Yeah.
my practice is, it's like catharsis for me. So
What
in
was your
terms of
first
how I
collection about then? What was the emotions that were going in your first collection? How did you start off with your first one then?
So my first collection was actually, it was actually based on painting by Klimt, The Kiss. So it was a deconstruction of the painting,
Right.
right?
Okay.
Because
So you
I
still
think
had an influence of art.
exactly. So okay, the other thing is that I don't research any jewelry designers or any jewelry because I don't want any other influence in my work. So what
Yeah.
I try to do is that my inspiration is usually based cross disciplines. So it is not about jewelry at all.
Right.
I want to design things that I then turn into jewelry, as opposed to say I'm designing a ring, so how will I work from a shank upwards?
Right.
I'll work downwards into the shank, but I won't work from the shank to like whatever is happening on top. So I think the interesting thing is that the first collection, because it was based on a painting, I and you know, like when I started out, I wasn't of course sure of which, like what sort of direction will I take, what will my
Yeah.
brand become. These questions were still, this needed to be answered. So my first point of uh, beginning or starting was actually my comfort zone painting, because that is what I knew the most when I
Yeah.
started my business. Because up until that point, even though I had done university, I had still done many more paintings than I had made many more pieces.
Pieces.
So I
Yeah.
think that was also kind of going back into my own comfort zone, which I think I did, like I didn't do it consciously, it just sort of happened. But when I do look back, it makes sense that I went back to something that I was more comfortable with, and then I broke that down and turned that into jewelry, as opposed to just going with something that I wasn't sure of.
So St. Martin's is one of the the best schools around here in London for definitely for design. Anybody who wants to be in creative industries, they have the most fantastic faculty. What is it that you learned from studying abroad, and especially at St. Martin's?
I can talk about St. Martin's forever, and I will never get sick of it. Um, St. Martin's, it's just amazing. It's just I don't even know how to relay like what it did for me
Was
or
that
what
always
it
your
means to
chosen
me.
university, like the place of study?
Yeah, so it had been my dream school since I was 14,
Okay.
and somebody had introduced it to me and had given me a booklet which I still have. And I remember since then it was just like, either if I was to go abroad to study, it would be St. Martin's or nothing else. So I had
Right.
decided that because after your foundation you have to reapply through UCAS,
Right.
and you
Yeah.
have to reapply through for bachelor's.
Yeah.
And I had decided, and like that was the only school I applied to. and I had no other backups. And like, if it's not this, I'm gonna go home because this is
Yeah,
it.
no
If
plan
either
B.
is
That's
or
the only
nothing,
one.
that
Yeah,
is it. Like, this is what I worked for forever. So this is it.
yeah.
But St. Martin's is really great because they train your way of thinking. So it's not just about do this, do that. Because I think the thing with,
So not
especially
just
the,
a technical aspect.
exactly, even though technical is a big part of it,
Yeah,
but it's more about like it's more skill based. So it's not going to be like this is the right thing to do, this is the wrong thing to do. It's going to be this is the way to do it. Now it's up to
right.
you which way you mold it. Because I actually really struggled coming from, because I studied the Cambridge system here. So O levels and A levels, the way at least they're taught in Pakistan, art especially, is very like constricted, and it's very like in a box. It's very like this is what you have to do, and this is what you need. But when you go into, say, St. Martin's, what it is that they don't tell you what to do. They equip you with the tools, and they tell you you do what you want to do.
Yeah,
So, which I think the distinction is like there's a really fine line between that, and it's also very important. So they really train you, they nurture you, and they train your way of thinking. So it's almost like I almost like to think of it like they create new pathways in your brain,
yeah,
then you can apply to every discipline, really. So I don't necessarily like to even refer to myself or call myself a jewelry designer, because I don't think that is what I really am. I am a maker, I'm a creator.
mm,
So that does not mean that it's the only thing I can do is jewelry, because I have enough confidence in my skills through St. Martin's that if I was to use this whole same design thinking, problem solving, analytical thinking, research and development, I have all these skills which they've given me. Now I can put it to even a product, I can put it to anything design related, and it would yield the same results.
yeah. I think
So
people don't realize. Sorry, got a bit of a sore throat.
that's
I think
okay.
people don't realize that any creative process has a structure, and it has it's like any other study, but there is
Yeah.
a process, there is a structure, and there's techniques. And people
Yep.
think when it comes to jewelry design, especially in Pakistan, I think that your work is all made of gold, but is it gold plated?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that I guess when it comes to jewelry and design in Pakistan, what is the most probably favored is gold, and it has to be of value because they just want something. Just it's very typical, either stones or diamonds, or it's gold.
Mhm.
Everybody just wants the value of gold.
Yeah.
So how, because your designs are very innovative. How has it been received, and are people appreciating your designs?
Yeah, I think I've been very lucky in the sense that I was, again, when I started out, I knew that this sort of market does not exist in Pakistan at the moment because
Yeah.
it's maybe not people's cup of tea, but I still went with my instinct and whatever I thought came to me naturally or organically, and it's been very, very well received. And I think what usually people who even do jewelry, I think they're either it's lack of training or that causes them to stick to like their old ways of doing things, or it's fear, because surely like there is a niche for this sort of market, so does not appeal to the masses, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm okay with it because I'm not for the masses.
I find that your
But
designs are very modern. They've got like kind of
yeah,
a modern take on something that is classic. You've got a
yes,
combination of both, so you can
yeah,
actually fit both. Because I think that the new generation wants something funky and just unique, but you still
yeah,
kind of cater with the gold aspect where somebody can
yeah,
wear it, and you
yeah,
can
yeah,
wear
it's a
it
bit
at a
of an
wedding, or you could wear
intersection.
it at a your engagement, or you know what I mean. It's not just contemporary. It's you
Yeah,
still fit it into a classic genre.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That you're right, because people like I actually, so like my the oldest person who's ever bought my pieces, she was I think in her 80s,
Oh
and she
wow.
bought like the boldest pair of earrings, and then the youngest are like teens, like late teens. So really it's like it depends. I guess it's like more for a personality type and not for an age.
I think so, yeah.
um
I think age is not, I don't think age has any boundaries when it comes to
yeah.
creativity and expression anyway.
Yeah, exactly, because I think because my pieces are more about expression and less about the aesthetic or the design sense, and
Yeah.
it's more about it being actually an expression. Like I want whoever wears my pieces, I want them to be expressing themselves in the way they're wearing it,
Mm.
right? Whether it is to, it's if somebody who's introverted and suddenly is wearing like this massive pair of earrings, is it because she's trying to, I don't know, say something, or maybe it's because she feels comfortable in like expressing herself through pieces and not verbally. So I want the pieces to serve. I don't explicitly say what my starting point is for my collection because that's something I want it to be between me and my piece. However, I do
Yeah.
speak about my emotions or at large speak about something that does reflect where the piece is coming from. And there's so much strength in vulnerability, right? There, it's so it actually makes you feel so much stronger, as which is so opposite to what people usually think, that if
Think,
I'm
yeah,
vulnerable I'll come across as somebody weak, but actually no, it just makes you so human. And
yeah,
then the amount of people who connect with you, it's like you give them strength. So through your weakness or your acceptance of your weakness, or it might not be a weakness, it might be a
yeah,
certain time in life, you're
yes,
actually strengthening so many others, which in turn strengthens you. So
absolutely.
yeah, so it's such a so yeah, so like my collections are literally like that. So I can so transition was supposed to be a time period where actually I felt like I was going through a transition in life for several personal reasons, and then
Yeah.
because of corona that did happen, so then this other collection came in which was going in a certain direction, and it suddenly had to change. People know, but there were monsoon rains in Karachi recently,
Yeah,
about
absolutely
3 weeks
atrocious. Yeah.
back.
Were you
So
affected?
oh yes, I lost my studio.
Oh
So let's
no.
just say it took my life and it turned it upside down. But the good thing is that my next collection is brewing. Like it's right there.
There's
So
emotions going on
oh
there.
yeah. It's already there. Like I know what's happening because the last 3 weeks have been nothing short of a nightmare. And I
Yeah.
literally, I mean,
I'd like to see
there's
how that translates in your collection, actually.
yeah, I'm also
Yeah.
I'm really excited to put all this like stress and all this like just
It,
crazy
into
stuff
your
like
design.
into the designs, because every single thing that could go wrong, every single thing that could go wrong has gone wrong in the last 3 weeks,
Well, you
and
know
it
what?
has been a
That's good because
nightmare.
that's real. That's kind of training ground, isn't it? I think Corona's become this training ground for every human being, and every person
Yeah,
has a reflection of who they are,
yeah.
what they're doing, and
Yeah,
I
but
think
see, the funny thing here is that it's not Corona that's caused this. Like for me, Corona hasn't done much, but this out of the blue rains that just came and they just like they messed everything up. Like
yeah.
things that I
People
have
don't
never
know
had
how
a problem
destructive
with.
the rains have been actually, and you're
Yeah.
discussing, which is a really good point. So I didn't realize like your studio had gone.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, 3 days ago. So on Monday, that was the first day that I actually had a space to work in
oh
after,
really?
yeah. So after the rains, because my studio was in my basement and there's still water coming out of there. So I do not have that space. So yeah, so it's been a very challenging few weeks
You
for
said
me.
so to express your emotion and to say,
Yeah,
this is what I'm feeling. I'm not
yeah,
feeling good right now. This is my way, and I'm gonna have to deal with it the best way I can. And
yeah.
so better to be out than in, right?
Yeah, and that's the only way to even be okay, like the only way to be okay is to work through your emotions. So whether that's crying or whether that's like feeling angry even or frustrated, like of course you have to be careful of how you are then manifesting those emotions, for example, anger or frustration, so you
Yeah,
don't like go and punch somebody or you don't break something.
yeah, yeah,
Be
absolutely.
mindful of how you're expressing those things, but do
Indeed.
express them for sure, and like have a good cry. Like that's the best. I think it's the biggest blessing to mankind. It's a gift that we don't even know we have, is to cry.
What have you learned from this time? Maybe the rains and Corona and this loss. What have you like a personal lesson that you've learned from this time?
Oh, I think I'm still learning so many. um I think the one of I think I may have even said that I learned this from Corona, is that I'm stronger than I think, and so is the mind. Like I keep saying this, and sometimes I lose sight of it myself, mind over matter. And of course, like it's always not the easiest to practice, but
Mm,
having a really great support system. Obviously, I don't credit myself for it at all. It's my support system that they're like my pillars, and they're always pushing me to the right direction when I feel like, I like, actually, I'll be really honest. I actually also say this because people think that if you're, living your passion and you're working with whatever you love, you're never
Yeah.
going to have these thoughts. But let me say that actually I was questioning everything about what I'm doing up until last week.
Mm.
And that's not to say because I don't believe in a vision, I don't have a vision, or I don't have like these things I want to do. I have all of that. But when things go wrong, they really go wrong. And usually everything goes wrong at once.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's the
right.
time when you have all these questions. And like, I would really like people to know this, that this stuff happens even when you're doing things you love and things that you are excited to wake up about
Absolutely.
every
There's up
day.
and downs and there's problems and you should be able to solve them. I think that's what it
Yeah. But what's more important is to have the discipline to be able to carry on despite feeling all these things.
Yes.
And also, like, I totally understand that, like, this year, I had a lot of things planned, and I had a few months of my life planned in certain ways that I got to those plans after working quite a bit. And I'm not the best of planners, so to plan for me is like really stepping out of my comfort zone and putting it extra hard work. And twice, everything right at the tip of it being okay just fell over on its head. And this year, I'm really understanding what it means to when people say, "Oh, most startups fail." This is what it is, because
Yeah.
it rings you like a cloth, like like a wet cloth. Like you're just like it's trying
Yeah.
to squeeze everything out of you just to see how much more you can take.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and
And to
and
really
and you
test. Yeah, it is. It is a testing ground,
It
definitely.
is definitely, and it's very easy to be very, very, very close to breaking point, which I will admit that I was too. But
Yeah, and I think
having a
everybody's with you on that one. I think we've all felt those emotions where we want to break down and not carry on, and then, you know, a weekend of Netflix and come up again.
Yeah,
You've got to take time out though, and which is sensible. You know
yes,
how to
hundred
recognize
percent.
those emotions and know how to deal with them because people don't, and then that's
Yeah,
when they fail and they stop, which is the saddest thing.
yeah, 100%.
So you've done a really great initiative. You worked with an NGO, which I really want to talk about, and that's amazing work. So tell me something. How did you get involved with that?
So I got in touch with this. So this NGO actually reached out through like some common people while I was still in university, and they were interested in textiles. But since that's not my forte, I said that I wouldn't be able to help there. But when
Right.
I graduated and came back, I thought that it would be interesting to do some jewelry related work with them. Also, because it's interesting to me that even though we have a really huge jewelry industry here, right, and a market,
Yeah.
however, there are no women in the industry who run the industry. It's run by men.
Really?
Which,
Yeah.
yeah, it's run by men, generation one generation.
Yes, that's true.
And
True. True.
like all the karigars, all the people who make the jewelry, they're all
Yeah.
men. And so it's really interesting to me that what, like, women are the ones who wear it, but not a single woman is actually designing it.
What a
And
good
that makes a
point.
world of a
Yes.
difference. So
Yeah.
that was another one of the motivators, that I wanted to teach women so that they could either become part of my workforce eventually or start their own thing. Because of course, if there's a woman making it, then she will understand the pain points from a woman's point of view.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So I designed the course. It was a 4-month long course, and I at first thought that I would just give the course to them, but then I ended up teaching it myself because
Wonderful. How was that
it,
experience?
so I love teaching. I'm a teacher in some parallel universe, and I will be at some point. I love, love, love teaching. So it was really good. It was really fun. I loved sharing all the skills I learned at St. Martins and otherwise. I taught them some hard skills like soldering, sewing, filing, all the basic stuff related to jewelry making that you need to know to make, at least the basics. And then
Right.
also some soft skills like related to crafts like bead making and how to make things out of recycled things. So my whole idea was to equip them with enough skills that they're able to start their own business, even if that means with just the trash in their house.
Right. Okay.
Which I'm very happy about, because two or three
Were
of
they astonished that here's our teacher telling us to make jewelry out of trash?
I say this to everybody, by the
Has our
way.
teacher gone
Like
mad?
well, yeah, I think it's not only them. A lot of people think that, because that's what I say to people. It's my dream to make jewelry out of trash, and they'll be like, is she even serious? I'm like,
In
yeah, and I'm
Mexico,
gonna
sí,
do it
yeah,
one
yeah.
day. Yeah. Is that what they really
That's what
taught
they
you at
teach
St.
you in
Martins?
England.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm gonna do it. And Mariam, this podcast is what do you call it? This is evidence. So when it
Okay,
happens,
this is
we'll
where we're
come
going to
back to
act in this
the
moment, and we are,
yep,
the audience are
witnesses.
testify, when you do this. And
Yes, 100%. It's going to happen. And now I've put it out in the world. So now more people can know. And you can look at me like I'm crazy, but trust me, when it happens, you're going to want it.
yeah,
So
no,
it's
it's
going to
great because I
happen.
love the fact that as a business owner, you've really put some kind of goals, in mind. You've got a
Yeah.
plan, and you know which kind of direction, or at least you know which kind of direction you want. You know what you like and what you want to do. And I
Yeah.
think this time where we have 4 or 5 months, and I think it's going to continue sadly until until the early next year. We don't really know what's going to happen. Have you changed your kind of process and materials and sourcing, and how has your supply chain?
Not really. Nothing has really changed, at least in the last few months.
Right.
Um, I do, however, want to work towards. So I um yeah, so anyway, right now it's what it is, but I do have plans of, changing things up a little bit. And I've always wanted to, I try to be as green as possible as a brand also,
Yeah.
not just because it's something that all brands are doing right now,
Yeah.
but as I said, I love trash and I love like the concept of recycle and repurpose. And so I want to bring those elements into my business as well in the way things are
Which
packaged
I
or
think that concept's not been even discovered in Pakistan. They'll look at it and think, "I'm not
not
wearing
so much.
trash." You know
Yeah,
what I
not
mean?
so much. Exactly, not so
Yeah.
much. Oh, Mariam, if I just tell you what all I have in mind, you're gonna question. You're gonna be like, she's crazy. So
Well, I
just
need a piece anyway. After watching the girls, I was like, like this girl's like she's making waves, and this is why I wanted to kind of. I know we had a bit of a, we had a first session recording, and I will tell everybody like this is just the way life is, right? We had a
yeah,
podcast, we did everything, and then we've had to record it again. But I wanted to definitely catch you and talk about your work because it's amazing. I think you've gone
oh,
from
thank you so much.
design. You're a real prominent young designer, which everybody will. I'm sure that you'll make your own niche and you'll make your own waves and your own path. But you are already. Because if I
Hopefully.
picked out your design in a film, I was like, this is her design, just unique. So how
Thank
did
you.
that design come about, by the way? Because that
uh
entanglement, that's just the word of 2020. If you think
Yeah,
about it.
entanglement. Actually, so a piece very similar to that is in my collection Transition as well, which was
Right.
the first collection of this year. But that actually piece, and I like that you're saying entanglement because when that piece was actually conceived, that was the state of my mind, if I'm being honest with you. So I was in like a so there are some pieces that you'll see they're like really like violently like turned and
Yeah.
twisted, and they're very twisted, and if I'm honest, that was just a state of my
Yeah,
mind.
and actually, I
So
think that's what in the movie as well, isn't it so fitting? Because the jewelry expresses that emotion when the two girls are having this conversation,
yeah,
Jugnu and Sarah, and I've just
yeah,
recently watched it, so it's fresh in my mind. So they're having this conversation, and they're processing and they're sorting things out, and that conversation. So even the jewelry and the accessory and whoever's put it together, if I don't know if I've gone in more depth than it really was, but I think that is a great way of that's a great reflection, even their
yeah.
thoughts and their expression from whatever clothes, but the jewelry is saying
Yeah,
things.
you're right. You're right. It is very, very reflective of that moment when they're sitting
Yeah,
together and having that
that
conversation.
conversation.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Excellent. I think we've kind of, the part two, which, if you're watching on YouTube, I think we're going to go straight into the second part, which you'll see, and we'll transition. And if you were listening on iTunes, and you won't know the difference. But
Yeah.
so we're going to go into part two, and I think we talk about Haya's experience in the industry where she's, worked with fashion shows, celebrities, and so that's part two. So that comes next. So just let everybody know. And so, where are you headed in the next 5 years? Where do you see your collection going, or your design work? Where do you see yourself?
Um, I see a lot of other well, I say, yeah, well, products. I don't see myself just doing jewelry.
Right. Okay.
In
Want to
fact,
expand somewhere else?
there were a couple of things in the pipeline, but COVID happened, and then everything went like
Yeah. How did
bust.
you manage with COVID when getting your, sourcing material, and how did that work? How did how you coping through that COVID season in Pakistan?
Um, Thankfully for me, not much changed because I am my entire business,
Yeah.
really, most of it,
Yeah.
and I always have like things stocked up. So, and surprisingly, during COVID, the 4 months of lockdown, they were quite busy. Weirdly enough, which I thought they wouldn't be, but they were, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting like the finishing and stuff done was a bit of a problem because of surprise lockdowns, because nobody tells us anything here, and they just do it, and then we kind of have to work around it.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was really good, and I was very grateful, especially during COVID, for my craft, because I wasn't it didn't allow me to feel all those other negative things that a lot of people were feeling, because I had my craft to lean on. And
Yeah.
so for me, it was just any other day. So it was good. It
This is what I'm
wasn't.
saying. It's therapy. It's
It
great.
is.
When you're focused on something that you love, you actually, I think you kind of blind yourself and drown out any of the noise on the outside, because you're so
100%.
innerly focused and you have
Exactly.
strength from the inside. And I think that's what I love about creativity, and that's why I think it's creativity, they say, is the new intelligence. It's
Yeah, 100%.
it really is creative. I love the creative industries. And when I come from a family that is all 90% in medicine and doctors, and you think, they didn't understand. And I think the world has changed now, and especially in Pakistan as well. There's such amazing talent. I
Yeah,
love Pakistan. I come to Lahore all the time to visit family, and the creativity and the work and the craftsmanship, it's amazing. It's
it
absolutely
is.
amazing. And that's why I wanted to promote a young female Pakistani designer, because being innovative, and then going back into Pakistan, and like being, and promoting yourself as a young entrepreneur, that's amazing work.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Is there anybody that's inspired you during the way of your journey? Is there somebody that you look up to regarding business or style? Is somebody's style that you like, or some jewelry that you aspire to?
Style wise, not so much. Again, it's for me, style is very reflective of my own moods, and depending on how I'm feeling. So I wear my feelings in terms of my accessories and clothes and everything. But of course, I've had role models like within the family, who have not done jewelry, but they're doing like business or like just as people. They really inspire me. And in terms of, if I look up to a jeweler, as a rule of thumb, which I don't know how smart it is, but I do not look up or research jewelry at all. And I don't look at other jewelers at all. I just don't look at anything related to jewelry outside of my practice.
Yeah.
And I do that consciously, because I don't want anybody else's work to ever inform mine, because naturally, if you look at a piece and you like it, you log it in the back of your head, and
Yeah.
at some point it will show itself in your work, and that is something I just don't wish to do. So yeah,
So
I
where do you draw your inspiration from? Is it
everything other than
environment?
jewelry,
Yeah.
everything. Like, it could be the space, music. Like, I'm heavily
So the
inspired by
collection that you're
music.
wearing now, it's beautiful. Like where did that come from?
Cloth.
What is that creative seed that you planted? Where did that come from?
There's cloth.
Just looking at cloth and that's it?
Yeah, it's just cloth. And this collection, actually, the way it even happened, it was really fast, because I was really stuck. I was having a massive creative block, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I need to have this done. And then I actually work a little bit backwards. So instead
Yeah.
of drawing things, I make them first, because I literally think through my hands. So until I don't feel something,
Yeah.
it doesn't click anything here. So I usually just go into my studio and start playing with scraps, and I recycle all my scraps. So I just start playing with it, and then something starts happening. So this is literally what happened. I
Yeah.
was looking at cloth, and then I just had like these pieces lying around, and I just started playing with them. And I think it was within like 40 minutes, I had one piece of the whole collection, all prototyped. And that I was just like, this does not feel right. Like, how did that just happen? But when
Yeah.
you're in a state of flow, it just things just happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And how many collections do you have currently?
so far I have four. So I do
Right.
two collections each year.
Okay.
And then they run for 3 to 4 months, after which they're discontinued, and only the core pieces from each collection then just remain. But like, say somebody
Okay.
wants a piece from the first collection, they're not going to get it, because I consider my work also art jewelry, which means that I don't want it, and that's why I produce it myself, because I don't want it
So kind
mass
of mass
produced.
production. You don't want that kind of,
Exactly, I don't want that.
yeah, exactly. Make it unique and kind of
Yeah.
tailor made, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So there's only a certain number of pieces, and surely from a business point of view, it would be
Mm,
smarter to produce them in a larger quantity, because there is demand. But then from an
yeah.
artistic point of view, I need to draw a very fine line between the two, where I am just producing just about enough to meet the requirement of the demand, but also
Yeah.
not too much to make it just really like mass produced sort of
So
feeling.
what's
I don't
that
want
challenge
that.
that you have right now at the moment that you're currently facing in your business?
I would say figuring out a way to scale up whilst retaining my brand identity and DNA intact,
Yeah.
and sort of sticking to, uh, again, the whole notion of it being art jewelry, because of course the business is growing, the demand is increasing, and it's more people are finding out about it now. So I think I do sometimes really struggle with the business and artistic, the two sides, because as a
Yeah.
creative it's very hard to let go of something that you really wholeheartedly believe for the sake of the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, would you like to collaborate with somebody? Is there somebody that you would like to collaborate or no?
I would be open to it.
Yeah.
I'm open to everything really. I don't want to shut out in any avenue.
Yes.
So yeah, I would be open to it, and I would be open to seeing how things would go, if it's somebody you click with, or somebody who has the strengths you're looking for,
Yeah.
and you have the strengths they're looking for, maybe.
I recently saw on your Instagram that Ria Kapoor follows you on Instagram,
Yeah.
which is an amazing. She's an amazing creative herself. So that's quite an amazing. You know, you've got some really distinguished people that are following your designs in your account, and I think you've really grown in these probably last 6 months to 8 months. Whilst I was looking at your
Yeah.
Instagram, it really
Yeah.
shows, and I think
Yeah.
that. Your style has changed and your confidence has definitely increased as well on your Instagram. You can tell it's like it's a portfolio, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Yeah, I think I don't remember when she started following me, but I was like, oh my God, okay, so maybe I am onto something, because
Yeah,
somebody
she
is
not ordered
thinking that,
anything
oh,
from you yet then.
no, but even like Pakistan to India is very like, it's tricky, and
Yeah,
I do have people from India who like my work and want it, but of course
yeah,
it's not easy to send it to them or
yeah.
really work with them.
Do they have any great jewelry exhibitions in Pakistan like they do in, you obviously know that they have it in London. They have
Yeah.
amazing jewelry exhibitions for each, from anything from diamonds to everything. So is there something that you would like to participate in eventually?
First year I started working, I predominantly did exhibitions. That's how I
Right.
got the word out initially. And there were, yeah, so they are, I mean, exhibitions do take place, but they're not remotely as big or as big as they are anywhere abroad. So they're quite
Okay.
limited.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we do have exhibitions here. But
So
we
with
don't have like
that,
shows and stuff like
yeah, which
for
it's a
jewelry.
shame, but it's you've got to work with what you have. Uh, I was going to say, so when you get stuck and you stumble, like you said, what is it? And you have like a mental block with your creativity. What is it that you do? What is it that you kind of? What is your process then?
Should I give you the really super honest answer?
Yes, of course, absolutely.
I cry a lot.
Get it all out there.
Yeah, 100%. I think crying is the best thing that's ever happened to mankind after a couple of other things like that. But
Yeah.
honestly, it's the best thing. I love it. I love to cry. I love to have a good cry. So I
I'm
always
so
do
glad
that.
that you're so in tune with your feelings and intuition. Do you know intuition? I've been doing a lot of studies about intuition. It is actually incorporated now in even corporate field. So they really want to harness this kind of quality and this characteristic,
Yeah.
because it's a quality that we all need to kind of
Yeah.
develop now. And so
Yeah.
you are quite intuitive. So, that's quite good. You released everything. So once you've
Yeah.
cried, did you cry for a couple of hours or a couple of days? How long are the
However
waterfalls?
much I need it, and however many times I need to cry, I do it, and I do it unapologetically. Like I really, really have a good cry. But after that, I always step back and I move away from the problem, and I always go to something else I love.
Okay.
So, like I love mehndi, I love henna. So
Right. Okay.
you if you know me, you'll randomly see like something on my hand one day, or something on
Yeah.
my leg someday, or my foot, and that's
Yeah.
my way of like getting myself to feel better, as well as to get back into the creative flow, and come with a new perspective to the problem.
Yeah.
So somebody asked me if how I talk to myself when like I do if I talk to myself negatively, especially in the times when I'm stuck or not understanding things.
Yeah.
And
How's that process for you? What is that you do?
so I realized that I end up doing something else that I love. So I have a lot of hobbies and a lot of interests, and I try to get away from my work. That's the first thing I do,
Yeah. Can I
because
keep that creative flow going in maybe something else?
something else,
Yeah.
exactly. So because I realized actually, so if you saw did you see the piece I made for Misha Shafi for Salt Arts?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, so it's a crown. If you have a
Yeah.
look at that, it's a big crown, and that was the most difficult thing I've ever made, because
Right.
not because of the piece itself, but because of how stuck I was in the creative process.
Right. Was that
Uh,
something that she ordered for just her, was it personal?
no, so it was for a performance. So
Right.
actually,
Yeah.
so Misha Shafi is like my number one.
She is so amazing. I love her
Love her.
style.
Yeah,
I actually, when she came onto the scene and she was on Coke Studio and stuff, and when she
yeah,
got started to get famous, and she's got such a great tone to her voice, hasn't she?
yeah.
And she's such a great creative.
She's amazing. She is
Amazing
amazing.
woman. From modeling to all the yoga.
Everything.
She's a real creative. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was somebody who like, so I designed jewelry for women like her. And it was actually, I'll tell you how like it ended up happening, which is still sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, whoa, it even
Did she
happened.
contact you?
So it was her birthday on I think it was sometime in November, 3rd November or
Okay.
something. And this is something I usually never do, again
Is this
because of
last
social.
year?
Yeah, it was last year, 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had just left my friend's house, and I was like, it's her birthday, so I'm just gonna wish her. And I'm like, maybe she sees it,
Okay.
maybe she doesn't, whatever. And I've never done this before ever, and I haven't done it after that.
Yeah.
So I
But you're a
messaged.
fan. It's okay. You're allowed to.
Yeah,
You're an
but
admirer.
because they usually don't end up seeing it because they're so popular anyway. So anyway,
Yeah.
I just did it, and I went to my friend's house, and I was leaving, and I checked my Instagram, and I got a notification from Misha Shafi, and I lose it right there. I'm like, what? She read it, and I opened the message, and to my surprise, she knows who I am,
No, fantastic.
because she has a piece by me. Somebody gifted it to her,
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm
Who
shocked at this point. Like I'm like, what? Like I am somebody. Like she
you've
knows that
you've
I
you've
exist.
obviously manifested it somewhere,
Yeah, because
right?
because the March before that, so March
Yeah.
2019, my sister asked me, who do you want to see your pieces on? And I said, Misha Shafi. And it's like she
You
asked me
see,
on,
you already planted the seed for manifestation.
literally, I think that's how actually that's how Nabila's thing also happened. That was also insane. And then, so Misha just, she said, oh, I've seen your work and I really like it. I'm performing next week in Karachi. Would you be interested in lending something to me? And I was
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, you take everything you want. Like, just take it
Yeah.
all. So anyway, then I got in touch with her stylist, and she was just like, oh, Misha wants to wear a crown or a headpiece. So would you be able to
Right.
make it? And that's the only lead I had, a headpiece. That's it.
Okay.
And I had a week.
So you
So
didn't
I was
know
like, okay,
what her
nothing.
outfit was on stage or nothing
Nothing. I
like
had
that.
no
No
idea.
colors. No like.
It was
Okay.
just supposed to be plain black. That's all I knew. And
Okay.
and
Okay.
Misha hadn't even seen the piece until 2 hours before the performance.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was crazy. And like, because I usually, so say if I wanna, you come to me and say that I want a piece for
Yeah,
myself.
which
So
I
I'll
do
have it.
actually.
I'd be more than happy to make it.
Inshallah, yeah,
Um,
we'll talk about that afterwards.
yeah. So like then we would have a conversation like this, and in our conversation, I will look for something that is important to you and that inspires me, and that will become my
Yeah.
starting point. So that we're both
Okay.
connected to it. But on
Right.
Misha's piece, I was like, what do I even use? Because I haven't spoken to her or
Yeah.
anything. And I researched on her and I couldn't find anything as such because she doesn't do many interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
So then eventually I ended up deciding that I was looking at horses because she loves horse riding.
Right.
So you know the fascinators, so I knew that I
Yes.
wanted it to be on one side because she
Okay.
loves horses, and that made sense to me, and because I see her as an icon. Frida Kahlo
Yes.
was the first woman that came to my head.
Yeah.
So I sort of took those two as the starting point, and then I
Right.
just started like experimenting. But the crown, getting to that actual thing, because I've never made it before, I've
So
never
how
made
long
a
did it take you
headband.
to make? How long did you have to create this?
I had 6 days.
Okay. Wow,
But
6 days, like less
six
than a
days.
week.
Yeah, I had 6 days,
Yeah.
but
How
I
long does it
only
actually
finished.
normally take you to produce something? So if you're making something, what how long does it depend on the piece or
Yeah, it
yeah.
depends on the piece, and it
Somebody
depends
commissions you
on.
something, how long would you like to take on it?
So for commission pieces, usually I take about a month and a half,
Okay, yeah,
just because
yeah,
there are other things going on during
yeah,
that as well, and plus it's just a longer process.
yeah.
Uh, but
Okay, so you've got 6 days to put something into place and then you start, you
and I have
know,
no idea, right? If she will like it, if it'll look
yeah.
good, if it'll stay on the head. What if it falls? It's on a
Yeah, because
concert.
you
It's
don't know her
live.
measurements of
I
the,
know nothing exactly. I know nothing.
headpieces,
I
like, you know
have
what I mean?
no idea, nothing at all.
All right.
And I only managed to
So you
finish
just
it
guesstimated everything, right?
just my head. I was doing everything on my head. I was just
Okay.
like, oh God. And then, it couldn't have been too heavy because obviously she was going to be moving around,
Right,
and if
performance,
she
yeah.
it would, yeah, it would fall.
Yeah.
And so 2 days before the performance, I managed to get it done. And funnily enough, I made it totally using recycled things. So I went into my kitchen and whatever I could find, I just brought it in the room and I just started
Yeah.
putting it together.
Okay.
And then I was also really nervous because I was like, what if she doesn't like it? Because she's never seen it. And this is supposed to be like the showstopper. Like she has to walk out and she's to make an impact with this crown on her
Right.
head. And she has
Yeah.
never seen it, not even a picture.
Yeah.
And I was
But
like, oh
you
my
know
God.
your experience and your portfolio. I think she's got trust in you. So that was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing for a young creative, huh?
I'm grateful to her for that.
Yeah.
That she actually, and then she wore all my other pieces as well, which were
Okay. So when she performed, she loved it, and
yeah. She
yeah,
loved it.
yeah,
She wore like the headpiece. She wore all my other accessories, and it just came out really, like everything came out together really, really nicely. And it was just me, Misha, and the stylist. And I could not. I still can't believe that happened. That I was sitting in a room and she was like rehearsing, warming up her voice, and I was just like dumbstruck. I didn't know what to say. And I was just like,
oh,
like I used to listen to all your music while making my pieces in university,
I
and
that's it. Yeah.
as it is, look at you like sitting right there and humming that stuff is just
Yeah.
insane to me. Like I don't even think it's
I
real.
think this is where your intuition kind of really plays, and I think this is what also is harnessed in St. Martins, because I think when you're looking at something, that everything is a feeling, right? Everything is a
Yeah,
thought. So
yeah,
as we talk about energy and quantum physics and the fact that we are all connected, your thoughts and your intuition, you've just obviously had such concentrated focus on that you've developed, that you've manifested this. So
it's true.
mashallah,
Like
obviously hard work and your
yeah, it's a
beautiful
mixture of all.
design
Yeah,
work,
it's a
but
mixture of all those
that
things.
inner, your inner courage as well.
Yeah, actually, I'll share another little story with you. That's with Nabila. So I
Yeah.
made
How
pieces
did
out
you
of
manage to
soap.
style her then?
So I had made some pieces out of soap. So I'd made jewelry out of soap. And right when I was working, now this is
Out of
before I
soap.
started my, yeah, out of soap. So
Okay.
right before I started my own thing, I was working and then so I quit my job and I was looking for a job elsewhere just for like a
Okay.
couple of days. And I went to this other jewelry designer and she had seen my work. So
Right.
she was like, "Oh, I really like your soap pieces, and I'm doing a campaign for Nabila Zero Makeup.
Yeah.
So can we use your soap pieces for that? Because I think it ties in well, blah blah blah, whatever." So I
Yeah.
said, sure, but where do I come in the picture? She's like, oh, I'm sorry, because she has an established brand. So she said, oh, I'm sorry, but we can't put your name. It'll be under my name, and I will just give you
Oh,
credits for, like,
I
making
don't
it.
like that.
And I was like, nope. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like,
Yeah,
I know it's for Nabila, it's a big thing, but
yeah.
if my name's not there, I'm not ready to sell my
That's
IP to
right. Good.
anybody.
I'm glad
So
you took your stand.
so I didn't do it, and then I thought to myself, oh my god, but Nabila is like one of the other people I look up to, and did I lose an
Yeah.
opportunity, whatever. But anyway, I was like, whatever,
You
like
followed your heart. You followed,
yeah.
your gut.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, yeah.
And then a few months later, I randomly get a WhatsApp message, and the WhatsApp message says, "Hi, this is Nabila, the stylist," and I brushed it off as, because a couple of days before that, this is before Lux Style Awards 2019. So a
Right,
couple of days before that, somebody else had messaged me, another stylist, to borrow my jewelry to style one of the artists. So I just
right,
brushed it off as, another stylist wanting some of my pieces.
right,
And I just casually replied to her, "Hey, yeah, okay. What would you like?" And she realized that I didn't know that I hadn't realized who she was, so she sent me
right.
her website. And I was like, "Wait a minute, did I just speak to Nabila like that, as if like I don't know who she is?" And then I opened her website and I'm like, "I'm sorry, so sorry, I didn't know that this was you." And then I hadn't met Nabila. I had no idea of her measurements or anything. I made a really big cuff for her. And she actually tried it a day before Lux Style Awards because she wasn't in town. And that's the first
Okay.
time I met her. And again, I was freaking out. I was like, it's made on my ear. What if it doesn't fit her? What if she
Yeah,
doesn't like
that's
it?
quite a big risk because obviously the fitting of
Yeah.
of jewelry is so important, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
it's
Especially like a cuff that was specifically made to
yeah,
her head shape.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when I met her, I was like, oh my God. And then I actually told her this experience that I had with somebody else. And she's like, oh my God, was it this person? I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, she told me about some soap pieces. And she's like, they were yours. I was like, yep, they were mine. But I refused at that time. And
Yeah.
it was just as well, because now I'm personally sitting and working with you one on one. So that was really amazing. Like, it was so surreal. I've worked quite a few times ever since then with
Yeah,
Nabila.
because you were involved with a HSY fashion show as well, I read.
Yeah,
And
and her, yeah.
is fashion that you want to kind of go towards? Like, so they were borrowing your pieces for the show?
Yeah, yeah. So I work predominantly with stylists who then they act like the middlemen
Yeah,
to get the things done.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it's mostly, I don't myself gravitate towards that stuff.
yeah,
But it's only if somebody asks, then I go for it. Otherwise,
yeah.
it's not my really like,
Arena.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, what advice would you give to a young creative who wants to get into jewelry design? What would somebody in Pakistan, a young female like yourself, who probably doesn't have the luxury or resources like you have, how does one start off? Give them some advice that would be helpful to them starting off their career.
I would say to be honest with yourself first and foremost, and always remember that it's not a sprint. Like, there are lots of ways to make money, really good money, really quickly, but remember that's not going to be long lasting. So don't run after things like money, especially when you're in your 20s. Use your 20s to really explore yourself and your interests,
Yeah.
and make peace with the fact that your 20s are supposed to be turbulent. I think people place a lot of emphasis on the fact that your teen years are supposed to be like crazy. I think that's not true. I think what happens in your 20s is something no one prepares you for. And that's the first thing I tell people, especially younger people. And I tell them, like, it's okay for you to be absolutely crazy up here while you're trying to figure out what to do, because that's normal. Like,
That's
this
the
is the
best
time you're
times.
supposed,
20s were
yeah,
amazing.
they're
You know what I mean? No
amazing.
responsibility, no bills to pay, no as and such. But you know what I mean? You're still kind
Yeah.
of living at home and um, you have that luxury of actually exploring. That is what we do.
Exactly. And that's what life is, right? Like, it's not about getting that job and just making X amount of money, and
No, not
no,
for a
it's not.
creative. Not for a
No, and
creative.
I
We
think
don't
even
think like that.
otherwise, I think, because the thing is that, a lot of the people who go down the regular route, if you really ask them, if they're
Yeah.
happy or fulfilled. No, they're not. They're just doing it because it pays the bills.
Yeah.
Is that really worth it? Like, is that a way to live life?
I think that this year is a year of questions. And I think this year has really made us kind of reflect on our own self and really go inwards if we can't go outside in the world. And I think it's made us all kind of wanting to understand who we are, exactly why we're doing it, and actually
Yep.
doing everything consciously, I would say,
Yep.
for myself as well. But like so many people that I know, alhamdulillah, I do a job that I love. I like a fellow creative, but I think a lot of people have had to question themselves. People have made redundant, lost
Yeah.
jobs, and yeah, it's financially quite difficult. But I think it's a way to understand what everybody is doing,
Yeah.
and do they want to do the same?
Yeah.
Do they want to fit in, and why they're doing it? Because life is
Exactly.
too short for just doing
Yeah.
something that you're not destined to do, where it doesn't feel,
Exactly.
yeah,
And is it really worth it at the end of the day, right? Like, and
yeah,
the thing is that everything takes time. And because we
yeah,
live in a world where everything is so fast and it's just at our fingertips, it's very important to
yes,
remember even something like your own creative style takes very, very long.
yes.
It just
To
doesn't come
create a
overnight.
signature style for yourself, well, I think you're going to go
Exactly.
through, you're going to evolve. This is,
Of course.
this is the start for you. So,
But isn't
you
that
know,
the best thing though? Like, isn't that the best
absolutely.
thing
Why
that
would you
you're
want to be stuck in one style anyway?
exactly.
This is your time to understand yourself as well, like you
Exactly, it
said.
really is. And I also like to say that, because so I
So
started
for a
my,
young person that definitely wants to do jewelry design, and they want to do what you do. So
Mhm.
what advice would you give in that sense?
I would just say be patient and keep at it.
Yeah.
Like, be patient and just keep going. And remember, it takes very long because
Yes.
I
You've
have been, so even though I started at 25, I started my own line at 25 years of age. And
yeah.
I would usually get people, and I still get people saying, oh, you're so young and you know what you want to do and you're so lucky. But what they don't see, which most people don't see, or everybody really who is doing something creative, is that they've probably been doing it from a very young age. So actually,
Absolutely.
it's not waking up at 25 saying, I know what I want to do. It's
Yeah.
actually from 6 to 25, figuring all those things out, giving it time, and then at 25 saying, okay, I think this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I think patience is a skill everybody should
I think, and
cultivate,
definitely for the younger generation as well, that I think, nothing comes quickly. You know what I mean? It's not an
or
overnight
easily.
success, or yes, or easy, but this instant gratification that we have, and this world that we live in, you need patience with yourself, patience with your art and your craft.
100%. And I think every single person has a niche in this world. Like, I do
Yeah,
not agree that, oh, what I do, it just doesn't sit well with people, because there are like, what, 7 billion people in the world.
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you can find 100 people who like what you're doing.
yeah,
100 is not much in the grand
yeah.
scheme of things, right?
The
So,
thing is, you've got to do what you like, and people will
yeah,
like it. So if they don't, then they
exactly.
don't. I think
Yeah.
like, then that's what a leader is, and that's the whole point of starting a concept like Star Moguls, is that leaders and experts in their field of style, like you are in for jewelry, you're change makers. You're changing people's perceptions about jewelry, how to wear it, the design, and that's the most amazing thing. We have to take our own take on it, on
Yeah,
everything.
100%. And I think we should not be afraid to question things. And we
Yeah,
should not just, we should, in fact, take it as our right to question and understand. And only then will we be able to be innovative and, mix things and cross boundaries, when we have the courage to actually ask why instead of just saying it is how it is.
yeah.
And that's one thing with the younger lot, especially because I've been seeing a lot of jewelry brands spring up, especially in Pakistan.
Yes, how is it? Is there
And
a competition in Pakistan for jewelry design? Because jewelry is quite popular. I mean,
it
like you said,
is.
it traditional jewelry is, but
It is.
how is
Uh,
statement jewelry and the jewelry that you're designing?
the sort of stuff I design, nobody else really does that sort of style.
Yeah,
Um, but there are a lot of younger brands that are coming up, and I feel really sad about one thing that, so I have been seeing these, and especially in the last 6 months, a lot of them have come up.
right. Do you think
And
that's because they've all been at home and they've decided to kind of do
yeah,
something more?
and
Yeah,
not just that, but because they found out the easy way. And that is,
right.
I mean, I don't want to say exactly how they're doing it, but it's very
Yeah,
obvious. And I just feel like that is when you have the market, when you have the want or the this desire to do it, then why not push it a step further? Because there are four new brands, and they're all selling the same stuff.
Right,
And I'm not
right,
sure if they know about this or not, but they're all selling the same stuff with like a few hundred rupees difference, because they're all
right,
getting it from the same website.
right. Okay.
So it's like, and that just makes me sad, because if you have this desire, then surely you should try and push it, rather than, because don't take the easy way out, because then what if like everybody is buying from the same place, and then
Yeah,
at the end of the day everybody is just going to fall flat, right?
yeah. I think that you see the whole point is that when you're a creative, you want to stand there and kind of leave your mark, right, in the world. It's
Yeah,
like to say you did something different. So if we are all the same, then what's the point of being a creative? Like
exactly.
we have to have some stamp at the end that we say, like, this is what we
Yeah,
did. You know, we were here,
exactly.
we made our mark. So
Yeah,
I think you're in the long term and then they're in the short term. So that's the
yeah,
difference. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess.
Is there anything that you would say as a business perspective have you learned from, from like setting up your own business? How difficult was that as being a solopreneur?
I really enjoyed. I love a good challenge, and
Yeah.
business is all about challenges. So I love how exciting it keeps my life, because you're always having to sort something out, or like
Yeah.
connect the dots, or do some of that. And I think I really am enjoying it more because of I've come with like a clean slate, so I don't have any preconceived notions or any ways I'm supposed to be. So I'm just being how I know best, and just learning on the job.
Yeah.
Now, maybe to like a person who's more qualified and further ahead in their career, they might think that she doesn't know a thing, but I'm okay with that,
I
because
think business is what's business taught you then? So what is setting up your own business? What's probably one thing that's taught you?
to think on my feet.
Find solutions quickly.
Yes, even though I think St. Martins also trained me, but business has made me a faster thinker.
Yeah.
Like to just be spontaneous, and I love problem solving. So I really enjoy that aspect, as well as just like things that I'm not naturally good at, like organizing or keeping track of things, and business has forced me to cultivate those habits, and to just really practice those day in day out, because without that the business will fall flat. So
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for business to be pushing me into the directions where my weaknesses lie. So it's exposing me to things that I need to work on, and I have been working on as a result since I've been running my business. And even that even includes confronting people. Like, I'm not a person who confronts, and
Yeah.
I'm not good at that. But because of business, it's been like I do it or nobody else does.
Yeah.
And as a
That's good.
result,
You've taken control of your own business.
yep, and I think it's. I think everybody should do something they're not, that is obviously their weakness,
Yeah.
because when you
Something out of
start
their comfort
gaining,
zone. Yeah.
yeah, and when you start gaining control of that, it just feels really good.
What have you learned or discovered about yourself from 2020 since COVID and all of business, all your experience? But what have you learned from 2020?
Um, what have I learned from 2020? I would say that I think I'm stronger than I think I am. Um,
Interesting.
Yeah, and like so the way I live my life is very principle based, and it's not based on anything other than principles, because expectations are crazy. Like, nobody can ever fill each other's expectations
Yeah.
naturally. So I live on a very like principle based life, and so I think for me, COVID has again enforced that yes, that is the right way for me to live, because and that is also why things like a lot of things have not bothered me as such about Corona, because generally they don't bother me in life anyway. And then the things that do bother me, I've realized that there is more strength where I think there isn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
That's
been a
amazing.
good
So
set
we
of
look forward to
lessons.
seeing you next year in London then, huh?
Yes, inshallah.
Inshallah, when things kind of, when the dust settles and when all of this
Yeah,
is over.
yeah,
And yeah, I definitely want my piece because I love statement jewelry, and I'm a big rings person and big chunky, either necklaces
yeah,
or big statement. I like statement jewelry. I
yeah,
don't like something soft and pretty.
yeah.
I like I
Yeah,
like to say something with my
yeah,
jewelry and my
yeah,
clothing. I don't want to be just merged in the background. I want it to be
yeah,
innovative and different,
yeah. I
and to
like that
look.
too. Hopefully, you're going to be seeing like some. By the way, if I had my way, I would make jewelry only with trash. I'm
Yeah,
obsessed with trash, and you will see that at some point in
yeah,
my
amazing,
career. Yeah,
amazing.
it's not going to look like trash, of course, but
Trash? You mean like kind of recycled?
like I mean, going into the bin and literally finding something and be like, "This is the one.
Like
This
well,
is the
like a
one."
chicken bone stick or something like that?
It could be that as well, you know. Like I actually made a piece it was a performance piece in university. It was made out of body scrub. I made the body scrub at home. Like it was made
Yeah,
out of ghee, coffee, and sugar.
yeah.
And then I painted it, and it actually looks like a real piece. So if I had my way, that's what I would be selling. But nobody's gonna buy
Uh,
it here, so I gotta keep that's the line between business and creativity. I have to make these things so that I can do those things.
okay, so finally, if somebody wants to order something from you or they like one of your pieces, how does one contact you? Just through Instagram?
Just through Instagram and hopefully through my website very soon as well. But for now, Instagram is the best way to get in touch with me.
Okay, brilliant. That's nice. So let me know about the website and I'll put that on the details and stuff after the podcast. But thank you so much for joining us. It was really nice to know all about your kind of thought process, your creativity, and inshallah, all the best for the future as well. I can see you doing like big things, and I've taught so many young creatives. I usually kind of spot someone that I is going to be doing something really fantastic and outstanding in the future, and I wish you all the success. I can't wait to see you in
Thank you so
London, so
much.
do come next year, and we'll revive new creativity, and hopefully see through things through kind of 2021 eyes,
Hopefully, yeah.
inshallah,
Thank you so much for
inshallah.
having me. It was so nice to have a nice chat with you.
Yeah,
And yeah, and when I am there, I will definitely get in touch with you.
inshallah, inshallah. All the way, wishing you all the success, and we'll
Thank you so
see you
much.
soon.